Captain Alan Weber stood at the command center of the Earth vessel Horizon, staring at the holographic display. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his mind raced with calculations. "Sir, we're detecting multiple ships ahead," reported Navigation Officer Paul Duncan. "More than we've ever encountered before." Weber nodded slowly. The Horizon was a small exploratory vessel, not designed for combat. They had been mapping the edge of human space when their sensors detected the massive alien fleet. "How many?" Weber asked. "At least 300 large vessels, sir, possibly more behind them." Lisa Mendez, the communications officer, looked up from her station. Her dark eyes were wide with concern. "Captain, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. I think they're trying to contact us." "Put it through," Weber ordered, straightening his uniform. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and multiple small eyes arranged in a circle around what appeared to be a mouth. When it spoke, the ship's translation system converted the sounds to English. "Attention, human vessel. This is Supreme Commander Zorthal of the Galactic Confederacy. Your species has been observed and found wanting. Prepare for assimilation into our empire. Resistance is unnecessary and inadvisable." Weber maintained his calm. "This is Captain Alan Weber of Earth. We greet you in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Diplomacy is for equals, human. Your species is primitive. You will surrender your worlds or face extinction." Weber exchanged glances with his second-in-command, Jack Rivera. Both men recognized the gravity of the situation. "Supreme Commander," Weber said carefully, "perhaps we could discuss terms. Our species may have resources or knowledge valuable to your Confederacy." "We have studied your kind from afar," Zorthal replied. "You have only recently achieved space travel. Your technology is basic. Your worlds are divided. You will serve the Confederacy or be removed." Weber muted the transmission and turned to his crew. "Opinions?" Chief Science Officer Elaine Moore spoke first. "Captain, I'm analyzing their technology based on our scans. They're advanced, but their weapon systems seem conventional, almost like they haven't developed for war." "That's impossible," Rivera said. "Any spacefaring civilization must have military technology." "Not necessarily," Moore countered. "If they've never faced significant resistance, they might have developed differently than humans." Weber considered this. Throughout human history, warfare had driven innovation. Humanity had fought itself for millennia before uniting to explore space. The thought of a civilization that evolved without that pressure was fascinating and potentially significant. "Lisa, can you access their information networks?" Weber asked. Mendez worked her console. "I'm detecting open data streams, sir. They're not even encrypted. Their security is minimal. Get me everything you can about their history and military capabilities." Minutes later, Mendez looked up in disbelief. "Sir, according to their records, the Confederacy has existed for over 10,000 years. They've absorbed hundreds of species into their empire, but none have ever resisted beyond token efforts. They don't appear to have fought a real war in millennia." Weber's expression darkened. "They have no idea what they're walking into," he murmured. He reopened the channel to Zorthal. "Supreme Commander, I strongly advise you to reconsider your approach to Earth. We are not like the others you have encountered." Zorthal's circular mouth twisted. "Your arrogance is noted, human. You have 7 of your days to prepare for our arrival. Your surrender will be accepted until then." The transmission cut off. Weber immediately turned to his communications officer. "Lisa, send everything we've gathered to Earth. Maximum encryption. And add a personal message from me. They're coming. They don't know what we are." As the Horizon prepared to jump to light speed, Weber looked once more at the massive alien fleet. For the first time since the transmission began, he allowed himself a small smile. "They should have studied our history better," he said quietly. Admiral Diane Foster paced the circular war room of Luna Command. her boots clicking against the polished floor. The holographic display at the center showed Captain Weber's data about the alien fleet. Around the table sat Earth's unified military leadership, their faces grim. "The Galactic Confederacy," Foster said, gesturing to the images. 10,000 years old, hundreds of conquered species, and they've given us 7 days to surrender. General Ryan Brooks of the Solar Defense Force leaned forward. "Their technology is superior to ours in most areas. FTL capabilities we haven't achieved yet. Energy shielding beyond our current understanding. But their weapons are relatively simple," added Commander Julia Nash, head of Special Warfare. "And their tactics seem basic." Dr. Samuel Green, the military historian, cleared his throat. All eyes turned to him. The thin, bearded man adjusted his glasses. "That's because they've never needed to evolve militarily," he explained. "Look at human history. Every major technological leap came from warfare or preparing for it. We developed nuclear power because of war. Space travel accelerated because of military competition. Our entire history is defined by conflict." Foster nodded. "And according to Weber's data, these aliens have never encountered a species that put up more than token resistance. They've never fought a war," Green continued. "Not a real one. They've had police actions, pacification missions, but never faced an enemy that truly challenged them." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "We should try diplomacy again," suggested Ambassador Elaine Johnson. "Perhaps with more information, they'll reconsider." "We'll try," Foster agreed, "but we prepare for the worst. I want every defensive system activated, dust off the old missile silos, wake up the orbital platforms, call in every reservist." Chief Engineer Kevin Mitchell spoke up. "What about Project Aegis? It's not fully tested, but—" "Activated," Foster ordered. "Every hidden defense system, every prototype weapon. They've never fought us before. Let's make sure they never want to again." The meeting continued as plans formed. Outside the war room, Earth prepared. In cities across the planet, people watched the news with a mixture of fear and determination. This wasn't humanity's first existential threat, merely its latest challenge. At the Central Science Academy, Dr. Grace Williams led a team analyzing the alien technology from Weber's scans. "Their shield frequencies are regular," she noted, pointing to data streams. "Almost predictable. And look at their ship designs, efficient for space travel, but not optimized for combat." Her colleague, Dr. Aaron Phillips, nodded. "They've built an empire on intimidation, not actual fighting capability. Their technology is impressive, but they haven't developed it with war in mind." Williams pulled up an image of Earth's latest stealth fighter. "We build everything assuming an enemy will try to destroy it. They build assuming submission. That's our advantage." Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, shipyards worked at maximum capacity. Crews retrofitted civilian vessels with weapons systems. Military ships that had been mothballed were brought back online, their systems updated with new countermeasures designed specifically for the alien technology. In underground bases, special forces units trained with simulations based on alien physiologies and ship layouts. Scientists adapted existing weapons to target potential weaknesses in alien systems. After 3 days of preparation, Foster called another meeting. "We've done what we can with the time given," she said. "Ambassador Johnson will lead a delegation to meet their advance fleet at Mars Station. Try to make them understand what they're walking into." Johnson looked nervous but determined. "And if diplomacy fails?" Foster's face hardened. "Then we show them something they've never seen before: humanity at war." As the meeting adjourned, Foster remained alone in the war room, studying the alien fleet's approach vector. Though outmatched in technology, a strange calm had settled over her. The aliens had never faced humans before. They had no idea what that meant. They would learn soon enough. Ambassador Frank Harris adjusted his collar as the airlock cycled. The Mars orbital station had been chosen for the meeting. Neutral ground, relatively speaking, Behind him stood his small delegation, 2 military advisors, a xenobiologist, and a translator, though the aliens had demonstrated they could communicate in English. The inner door slid open. Harris took a deep breath and stepped forward. The alien delegation waited in the conference room. Supreme Commander Zorthal sat at the center, flanked by 4 subordinates. Their blue skin seemed to shimmer under the station's lights. The circular arrangement of eyes around their mouth-like openings made it difficult to tell where they were looking. Ambassador Harris, Zorthal's translator device converted his sounds to flat English. Your presence is noted. Are you authorized to discuss your species' surrender? Harris sat across from the aliens. Commander Zorthal, I am authorized to discuss peaceful relations between our species. Surrender is not on the agenda. A strange whistling sound came from the aliens, perhaps laughter. Your defiance is puzzling, Zorthal replied. We have studied your civilization. You are divided, primitive. The Confederacy has incorporated hundreds of species, many more advanced than yours. Harris nodded to one of his military advisors, who activated a small projector on the table. Images appeared in the air between them, scenes from human history. What you see here, Harris explained, is humanity's past. This is the Battle of Thermopylae. This is Genghis Khan's army. These are World War I fighter planes. This is a nuclear detonation. The aliens watched without obvious reaction. We understand you have existed as an empire for 10,000 years, Harris continued. In that time, how many wars has the Confederacy fought? Real wars, not just conquests of primitive species. Zorthal's upper body swayed slightly. The Confederacy does not engage in barbaric conflicts. Lesser species recognize our superiority and join willingly or face quick pacification. Harris leaned forward. Humanity has fought itself constantly throughout our history. War has shaped everything about us. Our technology, our psychology, our very bodies. We've spent millennia perfecting the art of warfare against ourselves. Can you imagine what that means? For the first time, one of the other aliens spoke. Your primitive conflicts are irrelevant. Our technology far surpasses yours. Technology isn't everything, Harris replied. Here's what you need to understand. We're not just another species for you to absorb. We're something you've never encountered before. A species shaped by constant warfare. He activated another hologram, showing Earth's current military capabilities, ships, weapons, defensive systems. This is what we built while fighting only ourselves. Imagine what we can do when truly threatened by an outside force. Zorthal made a dismissive gesture. Your weapons are primitive compared to ours. Perhaps, Harris acknowledged, but we understand war in ways you don't. We've studied it, lived it, evolved with it. You've had peace for thousands of years. We've had conflict for our entire existence. The station lights dimmed briefly as a larger alien vessel docked. More Confederacy forces arriving, no doubt. Harris stood. I was sent here with a message from Earth's unified government. We desire peace. We would welcome cultural exchange and trade. But if you insist on conquest, we must warn you, for your own preservation, to withdraw. The aliens made that whistling sound again, louder this time. You warn us, Zorthal said. Your confidence is misplaced, human. We have conquered worlds you cannot imagine. But you've never conquered humans, Harris replied simply. We're not asking you to fear us. We're asking you to understand what you're walking into. Our history is written in blood. Our advancement is forged in conflict. If you force this war, you will experience something your Confederacy never has, an enemy that knows how to fight back. Zorthal rose, towering over Harris. Your warning is rejected, Ambassador. Prepare your world for integration into the Confederacy. As the aliens departed, Harris watched them with a mixture of regret and resignation. They didn't understand. They couldn't comprehend what they were about to face. They would learn the hard way. The Confederacy fleet moved through the Neptune defense zone with absolute confidence. Their formation was perfect, a standard approach pattern used for centuries to intimidate primitive species. 300 warships arranged in a sphere, with command vessels protected at the center. Commander Olivia Martinez watched them from the bridge of her seemingly modest vessel, the Defiant. Her fleet of 30 ships appeared pathetically small in comparison. This was by design. "They're maintaining formation," reported her tactical officer, Ben Harper. "No deviation. They don't even have their weapons fully powered." Martinez nodded. "They think this is a demonstration, not a battle." She opened a channel to her small fleet. "All ships, maintain position. Wait for my signal." The alien fleet continued its advance. Their commander sent a message across all frequencies. "Attention, human defense force. Your resistance is futile but noted. Surrender now and your personnel will be treated well." Martinez didn't respond. Instead, she watched the countdown on her display. When it reached 0, she gave a simple command: "Activate Chimera systems." Across the Neptune defense zone, hundreds of previously undetectable platforms suddenly powered up. The Confederacy ships detected the energy surge too late. Electromagnetic pulses ripped through the perfect alien formation. Ships at the edges of their sphere suddenly lost power, their systems overloaded by frequencies specifically calibrated to their technology. Information gleaned from Captain Weber's initial scans. Phase 2, Martinez ordered calmly. Her 30 ships suddenly seemed to multiply. Holographic projectors created perfect copies, while the electronic warfare systems broadcast false signatures. To the Confederacy sensors, it appeared as if 300 human ships had materialized from nowhere. Confusion spread through the alien fleet. Their perfect formation began to break down as ships maneuvered to address threats that didn't exist. "They're splitting up," Harper reported with satisfaction. "Just as predicted." "Launch strike teams," Martinez commanded. Small, stealthy craft detached from her real vessels. These were Earth's newest weapons, ships designed specifically for asymmetric warfare. Each carried a boarding team of Special Forces soldiers. The alien commander finally realized something was wrong. "Human vessels, cease your primitive electronic attacks. Your deceptions cannot save you." Martinez responded at last. "This isn't deception, Commander. This is warfare." Her real ships suddenly accelerated, targeting isolated alien vessels. Rail guns fired projectiles at incredible speeds, overwhelming shields calibrated for energy weapons. The human vessels moved unpredictably, using maneuvers no civilized space force would attempt. Dangerous, erratic patterns developed by pilots who understood that survival sometimes required risk. On the Confederacy command ship, Supreme Commander Zorthal watched in growing alarm as his perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Reports flooded in from his captains. "Our sensors cannot distinguish real from false targets. Human boarding parties have breached 3 vessels. Their weapons are primitive but effective." "Impossible," Zorthal hissed. "They are merely humans." His tactical officer approached cautiously. "Supreme Commander, our intelligence was incomplete. Their tactics are unlike anything in our records. They fight without adherence to established combat protocols." On one captured Confederacy vessel, Major Greg Wilson led his team through alien corridors. The defenders seemed confused by the very concept of boarding actions. They had security protocols for rebellions, but not for elite soldiers who had trained specifically to take their ships. "Engine room secured," Wilson reported back to Martinez. "Their technology is impressive, but their security systems are surprisingly simple." Back on the Defiant, Martinez watched as the alien fleet attempted to regroup. Their numerical and technological advantage remained significant, but their perfect confidence was shattered. Already, 17 of their vessels had been disabled or captured. "They're pulling back," Harper noted with surprise, "forming a defensive position near Triton." Martinez nodded. "They're reassessing. They expected a simple pacification mission. We've shown them this will be anything but." She opened a channel to Earth Command. Phase 1 complete. The Confederacy has experienced their first real combat. They did not handle it well. Admiral Foster's voice came through clearly. Casualties. Minimal. Their weapons are advanced, but their targeting systems aren't designed for enemies that shoot back. Martins paused. They're learning, though. The next engagement will be harder. General Carlos Reyes stood in the command center orbiting Saturn, watching the holographic display of the battlefield. The Confederacy fleet had reorganized since their defeat at Neptune. They had adapted, creating new formations and improving their electronic countermeasures. They were learning, but not quickly enough. All units in position, reported his second-in-command, Major Heather Mills. Strike teams ready. Carrier groups standing by. Reyes nodded. The aliens expect us to defend. They still think like conquerors, not warriors. He tapped a command into his console. Let's show them the difference. Across the Saturn system, human forces that had been hiding in the rings and moons suddenly powered up. But unlike at Neptune, they didn't wait for the aliens to advance. They attacked. Small, agile fighters launched from concealed bases on Titan and Enceladus. Larger vessels emerged from the rings, using the ice particles as cover. The human fleet moved in formations that would appear chaotic to outside observers, but followed patterns developed through centuries of naval warfare. The Confederacy is responding, Mills announced. They're shifting to defensive positions. Just as predicted, Reyes replied. Execute Operation Trojan. 5 large human transports appeared to suffer catastrophic engine failures. They drifted toward the alien fleet, broadcasting distress signals. The Confederacy, still thinking in terms of civilized conflict, moved to capture these vessels. When the transports were within range of the largest alien ships, they exploded, not from self-destruction, but from opening their cargo bays. Each released dozens of small one-person craft. These wasps, as the pilots called them, were essentially engines with weapons attached and a single pilot in a minimal cockpit. WASP teams reporting success, Mills said, unable to hide or smile. They've breached the outer defense line. The tiny human craft swarmed around the larger alien vessels, attacking with precision. Their size made them difficult targets for weapons designed to engage capital ships. It was like trying to swat flies with a sledgehammer. Meanwhile, Special Forces Major Patricia Wilson led her team aboard the largest alien command carrier. Unlike the previous engagement, the aliens had improved their internal security, but Wilson's team had studied the captured ships and understood alien psychology better now. They think linearly, Wilson told her squad as they moved through the vessel's corridors. They defend critical systems but don't anticipate unconventional approaches. Rather than attacking the bridge or engines directly, Wilson's team targeted the ship's environmental systems. Within minutes, sections of the vessel began losing gravity and air pressure, creating panic and diverting security forces. Back in the command center, Reyes watched the battle unfold. Human losses were significant. The Confederacy's technology was still superior, but the aliens were suffering unprecedented casualties. Sir, Mills reported, the Science Division has completed reverse engineering the shield technology from the captured vessels. They're transmitting the frequency data now. Reyes immediately forwarded the information to his fleet. Human weapons suddenly became much more effective as they calibrated to bypass alien shields. On the Confederacy flagship, Supreme Commander Zorthal watched in growing horror as his forces faltered. Reports from across the system painted an unthinkable picture. The humans were winning. How is this possible? He demanded of his war council. Their technology is inferior. His senior tactical officer replied cautiously, They fight differently, Supreme Commander. Our forces are trained to maintain order and follow protocols. The humans appear to improvise, adapt, use methods we would consider dishonorable. They swarm like insects, another officer added. They sacrifice their own vessels for tactical advantage. It's barbaric. Zorthal reviewed the battle data. The humans were indeed taking losses that would be unacceptable in Confederacy military doctrine, but they were inflicting far greater damage in return. "Order a strategic withdrawal," he finally commanded. "We must reassess." As the alien fleet began to pull back, Reyes ordered his forces not to pursue. They had achieved their objective. "Send word to Earth," he told Mills. The counterattack succeeded. The Confederacy is retreating to Jupiter's orbit. Mills studied the casualty reports. "At significant cost, sir." Reyes nodded solemnly. "War always comes at a cost. The difference is, we understand that. They're just beginning to learn." In the darkness of space, the Confederacy fleet retreated, its perfect order now broken, its confidence shattered. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Confederacy faced an enemy it could not easily defeat. And the real battle had not even begun. Supreme Commander Zorthal stood before the holographic images of the Confederacy Council. His normally smooth blue skin was now creased with stress marks. Behind him, displays showed the remains of his once mighty fleet regrouping near Jupiter. "The situation is unexpected," he admitted. "The humans have displayed military capabilities beyond our intelligence estimates." "How is this possible?" demanded Counselor Vexmore. "They are a singular planet species. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Technology is not the deciding factor," Zorthal replied. "Their tactics, their approach to warfare. It is unlike anything in our records." The council murmured among themselves. For a civilization that had known only victory for millennia, defeat was an alien concept. "I am deploying our elite forces," Zorthal continued. "The Golden Armada has never failed in a pacification mission. They will crush this human resistance once and for all." As the council meeting ended, Zorthal turned to his chief intelligence officer. "Find me something we can use against these humans. Everyone has a weakness." Near Jupiter's orbit, the Golden Armada assembled. 200 of the Confederacy's most advanced warships, crewed by their most experienced officers. Their hulls gleamed with a special alloy that had intimidated countless species into submission by mere sight. Admiral Foster received the reports of the approaching armada from her command center on Luna. "They're bringing in their best," she noted. "Good. Time to show them ours." She opened a channel to General Reyes. "Deploy the Thunderbolt protocol." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated. For decades, humanity had prepared for existential threats, asteroid impacts, solar flares, and yes, alien invasions. Resources had been quietly diverted to military research that the public never saw. As the Golden Armada approached Jupiter in perfect formation, human ships appeared to scatter in disarray. "They flee before our might," proclaimed Admiral Carvoche of the Golden Armada, "as all primitives eventually do." Then Jupiter's atmosphere began to glow. Massive electromagnetic accelerators, hidden in the gas giant's orbit, activated, hurling projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. These weapons had been deemed too dangerous to use near Earth. The energy involved could devastate entire continents if mishandled. The projectiles hit the front line of the Golden Armada before their sensors could even register the threat. Shields designed to stop energy weapons provided no defense against physical objects moving at relativistic speeds. "Evasive action," Carvoche ordered, but the perfect formation of the Golden Armada became its weakness. Ships collided with each other as they attempted to maneuver. Meanwhile, human vessels that had appeared to flee were actually moving into attack positions. They struck from multiple vectors, using the chaos to target key vessels. On Earth, President Howard addressed the United Nations. "Today we fight not just for our planet, but for the right of all species to self-determination. The Confederacy must learn that conquest is not the natural order of things." Back at Jupiter, the battle reached its peak. The Golden Armada's technological advantage kept them from complete destruction, but their losses mounted rapidly. Human forces fought with a desperation and determination that bewildered the alien commanders. "They should be surrendering," Carvoche exclaimed as another wave of human attacks struck his flanks. Why do they continue fighting when defeat is still the logical outcome? His tactical officer, who had studied human history, replied grimly, "Humans don't surrender, Admiral. Not when defending their home. Their history is filled with examples of vastly outnumbered forces fighting to the last." As if to prove this point, a small human vessel deliberately rammed one of the Armada's command ships, its reactor going critical on impact. The resulting explosion destroyed both vessels and damaged 3 others nearby. On his flagship, Zorthal watched the battle with growing horror. The Golden Armada, undefeated for 1,000 years, was being systematically taken apart by a species that had only achieved spaceflight a century ago. "It's not possible," he whispered. His communication officer interrupted his thoughts. "Supreme Commander, we're receiving transmissions from multiple member worlds of the Confederacy. They're questioning the wisdom of this war." For the first time in his long career, Zorthal felt something alien to his kind. Doubt. The humans weren't just fighting with unusual tactics. They were fighting with a ferocity and commitment that his species had never needed to develop. "Prepare my shuttle," he ordered suddenly. "I wish to speak with the human leaders directly." The white diplomatic vessel approached Earth orbit under heavy escort. Inside, Supreme Commander Zorthal prepared for the most humbling moment of his long life. Through the viewport, he could see the blue planet that had defied the might of the Galactic Confederacy. "We have clearance to dock at the International Peace Station," his pilot announced. Zorthal nodded. The humans had insisted on meeting in orbit rather than on their planet's surface, a security precaution he now understood all too well. The peace station was a simple structure, built hastily for this meeting. As Zorthal and his small delegation entered the main conference room, he saw the human representatives waiting. Ambassador Frank Harris was there, along with military leaders including Admiral Foster and President Howard. "Supreme Commander," Harris greeted him formally. "Welcome to Earth space." Zorthal took his seat. "I come seeking an end to hostilities." President Howard leaned forward. "We have always preferred peace to war, Commander. But peace must come with respect." "You have earned respect," Zorthal admitted. "My civilization has existed for 10,000 years. In that time, we have encountered hundreds of species. None have resisted as you have." Admiral Foster placed a small device on the table. It projected images of the battles fought across the solar system. "Your technology is impressive, Commander. But technology alone does not win wars. We have learned this lesson at great cost," Zorthal replied. "The Confederacy Council has authorized me to withdraw all forces from your system and recognize Earth's independence." Harris raised an eyebrow. "Just Earth? What about our colonies throughout the solar system?" "All of this system will be recognized as human territory," Zorthal clarified. "We propose a buffer zone extending 2 light years in all directions from your sun." The negotiations continued for hours. The humans were thorough, insisting on specific terms and guarantees. They demanded access to certain Confederacy technologies as reparations for the unprovoked attack. They requested formal recognition as equals in the galactic community. To the surprise of his own delegation, Zorthal agreed to most demands. During a break in the talks, Zorthal approached Dr. Samuel Green, the military historian who had joined the human delegation. "I have studied your history since our conflict began," Zorthal said. "I find it disturbing." Green nodded. "Humanity's past is violent, yes. We fought countless wars against ourselves." "That is what I struggle to understand," Zorthal admitted. "The Confederacy evolved through cooperation. We developed technology to improve lives, to solve problems. You developed technology to better kill each other. And yet here we are," Green replied. "Perhaps both paths have their strengths. Your cooperation built an empire. Our conflict prepared us to defend it." When the talks resumed, President Howard addressed the heart of the matter. "Commander, we need to understand why you attacked us in the first place." Zorthal's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, an expression of discomfort. "It is the way of the Confederacy. Primitive species are incorporated for their own benefit. You were assessed as primitive, based on technology alone, Foster noted. Yes, Zorthel admitted. We did not consider your unique development path. The final treaty was signed after 3 days of negotiation. The Confederacy would withdraw from human space. A formal peace would be established. Cultural and scientific exchanges would begin under careful protocols. As the ceremony concluded, Zorthel approached Ambassador Harris privately. Your warning, he said. When we first met at Mars Station, you told us to run. Harris nodded. I tried to explain what you were facing. We did not understand then, Zorthel replied. The Confederacy has never encountered a species forged by warfare. A species that developed not through peaceful evolution, but through constant conflict. We call ourselves many things, Harris said. Explorers, creators, dreamers, but we've always been warriors too. Zorthel's breathing apparatus made a sound like a sigh. In our archives, we will mark humanity with a special designation, a war species, not to be conquered. As Zorthel prepared to depart, he delivered the line that would become famous throughout both human space and the Confederacy. We should have run when you warned us. Next time, perhaps we will listen when a species tells us what they truly are. The diplomatic vessel departed Earth orbit, leaving behind a changed galaxy. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Confederacy had encountered its match, not in a mighty empire spanning hundreds of worlds, but in a single species whose history of conflict had prepared them for the stars. Humanity had warned them to run. In the end, they had learned to listen.